Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Struggling Hunters. This would be episode 83, and thank you for tuning in. And if by tuning in, you have automatically joined yourself to the Struggling Hunters team, and uh, and we appreciate that, and hopefully you do too. And we appreciate all the comments that we've been getting on our videos, and we appreciate the views that we have. And if you haven't, go give us a like and a subscribe, or hopefully you give us some time to earn your subscription and continue your time on our team. It's a fun place to be, and kind of with that, we got some fun stuff to talk about today, uh, which we were hoping would happen. And so the way that the rest of the episode's going to go is I'm going to allow Eric to talk again, and but we're going to talk about if you haven't been listening, last week we talked about we were going to talk about hunting land, getting landowners permission to hunt private property, what it kind of like to hunt private versus public. But that's going on to another episode. So because we got some success to talk about, I'll go ahead and drop the ball, I guess, and let you know. But we also been talking about Fred Bear's 10 Commandments. So we're going to start off by discussing Fred Bear's number 9 commandment, and then we'll get into, I guess, mine and Eric's weekend this past weekend. And it's going to be I think a fun little podcast.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to get into it for sure.
Because we kind of span, I think, all the emotions and kind of all the stories. Like everything we've almost talked about all year is going to happen in 2 days.
Yeah, 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 pretty much.
So, uh, with that, we'll go ahead and get into Fred Bear's number 9. Um, I guess we didn't really discuss who was going to read tonight. The number 9 commandment there.
Well, I got it right here, so I can read
Okay.
her off real quick. Uh, Number 9, Fred Bear's hunt commandments. Number 9 is hunt where the deer actually are, not where you would imagine them to be. Um, the one thing with this is I like to throw in a deer and elk, really, or hunting of all styles. I mean,
Correct.
so Fred Bear. I mean, a lot of this is programmed toward deer, but it's relatable to elk too, I think. But anyways, with that said, yeah, let me just read it over again since I messed it up. Hunt where the deer and or elk actually are, not where you'd imagine them to be. Joe, we've probably been guilty of that a few times, huh?
Yeah. I don't know how many times I go out there and be like, hey, this is awesome. If I was a deer or an elk, this is exactly where I'd be.
Yep.
But they're not there.
They never are. They
Yeah.
never are. They never pop out where you think they will.
Nope, they don't. Unless you get good enough and finally understand I guess you stop imagining where they will be and start knowing where they will be.
Oh, exactly. Exactly. And yeah, not letting stuff like that get in your head too, because I think that plays a factor too. Just
Right.
the frustration of it all whenever you're not getting success and you feel like they should be there. But I feel like we've also talked about that before. Matter of fact, um, I feel like there was another commandment that almost kind of goes with that. Maybe not. Maybe I'm not. Mm, Maybe it's just something that we've talked about. I think it's something more that what we've talked about is if you're not seeing sign, just you know
Yeah.
give it the old college try and then get out of there. If you're not seeing sign, then they're probably not there. and so why are you hunting there?
Right. Correct.
And I think because I think you can get caught up in feeling like they should be in this particular spot, and then but you're not seeing the sign, you're not seeing anything that would remotely let you know that they're hanging out in there, and and then you still stick around because you feel like they should be there. But I feel like that's a good time to jet out is when you're just not seeing the sign, or you go where they and you know I've been there in the like in that transition of like, okay, I feel like they should be here, they're obviously not here, but where do I go?
Right.
you know and
Right.
that could be frustrating, but sometimes just plugging along. I think another tip though is just don't quit. Just don't quit hunting. I think we all kind of did a Saturday. We didn't really take much of a break from hunting. I mean, even if we took it a little easier or whatnot, we didn't really take a break though. We kept
No.
plugging away all day.
Yeah.
I mean, some of that might have been because we didn't have a camp to go back to, but uh, I took note of that on Sunday whenever I was by myself. The midday seemed like everybody disappeared. After about 11, 12 o'clock, most everybody disappeared. I mean, there was just nobody around, and I was still plugging away, man. I was still like, well, I got to find something. So I kept working at it, and I think it helps. I think it helps find success.
Right. And I think that's probably, you probably need to put kind of like along with what you're saying there, you know, hunt where the deer actually are, not where you imagine them to be, and keep pushing. Or
Yeah.
like, because like you said, you imagine them where they're going to be, and then if they're not there, then you kind of go, oh great, like now what? Because my great imagination says this is where they are,
Mm-hmm.
and now I don't know what to do. So then it drops into like what you said. Okay, like what's your next step? What's the next imagination maybe, or if they're not there, what's the opposite of that? Maybe I don't know. That it's but just keep pushing, keep going.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. So with that said, I don't want to leave people hanging too long, right, till the
Right.
end or whatever. So I kind of want to break this out. Um, so Joe and we are. I had a doe tag for Colorado, um, and it was this last weekend. November 13th was the opener. You guys are going to be hearing this next week, whatever day that is. Um, so to kind of catch you up fully, Joe came down to hunt with me on Saturday, um, to let the cat out of the bag. We got a full podcast of story and everything, but to let the cat out of the bag, I finally, after a year and a half, almost 2 years of doing this podcast, finally found some success, got my doe, and now I'm probably in the running to be one of the best hunters to ever live. No, I'm just kidding.
You
It's
know it
just
all now. I mean,
yeah, yeah,
you
I
pulled
know
the
it all
tag.
now. No, I'm totally kidding. I I just was trying to be funny, so don't beat me up too hard if you're listening. But I am really excited though. I am really excited that I was successful. Um, with that said though, I want to kind of back up. There's really no good way of telling it, but I didn't want to have everybody hang on till the very end of the podcast. So
Right.
now I want to kind of back up to us. Well, I kind of want to hear your perspective of how the morning started and kind of where you want to start the morning, I guess. But back up to Saturday and then go from there, and then we'll kind of bounce off of each other, I guess.
Yeah. So like I've never, I've never seen this country that we've hunted, right? So this is the first time that I've been into this unit, been on any of these roads, and I really didn't have anything to compare it to or really know what we're getting into. Uh, and so, we get going down, and we'll admit that we probably, if you've been following along with this since we've been talking, we've since we've been doing the podcast, we always talked about like boots on the ground. That we're out of the truck, we're um, not scared of putting miles into the woods. Well, I don't. I guess it's more of the fact that we're trying to find a place to hunt that we end up doing more of a road hunt type style, and it's not like we were driving roads and strictly looking for deer. Well, we were looking for deer. With we saw an opportunity, we were gonna get where we needed to make this opportunity happen. And so but Eric had a bunch of different places that he wanted to hit up, and being that like we didn't get to be able to spend any time in there to previously like fully scout an area to say no, this is where we need to be. We kind of took Saturday as our scout day, more or less, and that's kind of how I saw it going, or seen it going, or how it happened. And so every time we kind of came up to a draw, we'd look and uh, try to see something. Glassed up a handful of rock deer and some stump deer. So we weren't letting opportunities pass. If there's an opportunity, we were going to find it and make it happen. um, and God, so it was kind of, yeah. So like I said, we get going. It's kind of funny, like how I think back on it, and I can't like things just go along. So the morning got going, and we didn't. The two deer, now see, now my story's getting mixed up. The two deer that we saw on the road, that was in the afternoon, right after.
Yeah, that was later in the afternoon. So,
So
well,
we
I'll take. Yeah, so in the morning time, when we went down to where uh, to kind
were
of catch up,
Carter.
you found the yeah. Um, you glassed. Okay, I'll just go and then I'll let you
That's
go a
right.
little
That's
more.
right. I don't know why I'm
You
getting my
glassed.
story.
Yeah, yeah.
So
You glassed those two, or you saw a couple. You glassed a couple deer,
yeah,
and so we took off and we tried to figure out exactly where you found them. We didn't quite figure it out, but others. I'll let you kind of go from
yeah.
there.
So Eric, he's like, oh, I've been told there's some deer in this area. So we doing the whole road hunter thing and not knowing where to go. We were just kind of scrambling and just shooting in the dark and just trying to hopefully make something happen if we had an opportunity. Like I guess I keep repeating myself. Sorry about that. So we go down one road and there didn't really see anything. We didn't really know what to expect. So we backed up, went down another road, and Eric's like, I kind of like this area here. I pull out my binoculars and I start glassing just far out from us, like every little meadow that I could see. And I just happened to catch, I believe there were two deer. One of them was a bigger, I couldn't tell if it was a buck or not, but it was a bigger bodied than the other one that I saw. So I was like, well, I feel like there's at least one doe, if not both does. And the way that we could figure to access it was back down the road that we turned around and came out from. But it was so far away from us that like by the time we got around, it was hard to tell where this clearing was. And so, but we're like, well, let's just, I guess, continue on down the road. And we get going down the road, and all of a sudden Eric puts the brakes on and he's like, did you see that? See what? He's like, there's a doe right there on the side of the road. I'm like, no, I didn't see that. And so I'm trying to figure out, not figure, just comprehend. And Eric just jumps into hunting mode. And so we had Carter with us, Eric's boy, and him and Carter hopped out of the truck, and I took the truck and drove down and rode a little bit. And we kind of used it as a decoy, I guess, more or less, just to kind of assimilate that the truck kept going, and the deer would maybe think that no one got out, and maybe put him at ease. And so Eric took off, him and Carter, and I drove down the road. And as I'm going down the road, the dirt is soft enough that there's tracks. That it wasn't just like a single set of tracks, but it looked like some tracks. I was like, oh man, they're in here somewhere. And so I turn around and go back up and kind of parked where I could I got in the back of the truck and glassed out, and I could see a little bit, some clearings. I was like, I'm just going to stand in the back of the truck and wait till Eric gets back or something. And so he had tried calling me. My phone was turned off. My silent, was on silent mode and in the truck. But him and Carter come back down the road, and I guess you guys did see something at that point, right?
Yeah. So we were in the thick cedar at this point, and I heard Joe kind of driving past again, and about that time, I don't know if that deer simultaneously, because I don't know if it was a buck or a doe. I didn't see its head. I just saw its body. Simultaneously, as we were kind of walking through the woods and you were driving by, that deer jumped and started moving through the cedar, and I didn't have enough time to pull up and
yeah, it was thick stuff.
it was
like
and
I was gonna say, I don't like, just to it wasn't like you could really glass through it and see in front of you a ways. It was, you were only really able to see within 10-15 yards in front of you.
right. And so whenever I saw that though, Carter saw it too, and we both saw it, and I said, all right, let's go, and so my plan was, what I was gonna do is I was trying to hope that it would it would try to circle back in some way or shape or form, or kind of like run up a little ways and then do the classic broadside look back and go, what the heck was that?
Yeah.
So I said, let's go, Carter, and so we hustled over there, and you could see where the ground was soft enough. You could see the fresh tracks of where it was running. So I followed those tracks all the way down, and then uh, we got to the end of it, and there's kind of two parts here. Carter's like, Dad, there's a set of horns, and I saw him too, and I was actually getting ready to tap him, and I was like, hey, go ahead and pick those up, and I think he might have saw him first, but either way, he was like, oh, I see him or whatever, and he goes and picks up a little, I think it was like a 4-point,
yeah,
but decent size though.
Yeah,
I mean, it wasn't bad, and so he found his antler, and that made him all stoked and everything.
Yeah.
But right in that same spot, lost the tracks. I couldn't tell I couldn't see tracks anymore. So I didn't know where the deer went. So, this is all why you're probably glassing and doing your thing in the back of the truck. And so I said, well, let's just go ahead and loop back around and catch up with Joe. And what I was going to do is have you drive down, and then I was going to go on that road, but you never picked up your phone. So I just hiked back to you, and so we hiked back.
Sorry, I didn't have my phone on me.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I was looking for deer.
I get it. Hey, it's not too often though that we hunt together and we have service though. That was a little different, because at first I'm like, oh, I wish Joe would like come down here and meet us. And then I was like, oh wait, I can just call him. Like I actually had that thought for a second. So anyway, I got back to the truck, and then Joe, that's whenever Joe was like, well, I think it clears up down here, and I've never been in this particular area, so I didn't really it was all new to me. And so I was like, well, let's tromp through the woods here and see what we can come up with. And so we were tromping through, and I think it was only one. Seen another deer though, kind of just flashed through the woods there, and saw it take off pretty much, and that was the last I saw it. And then we went down into the clearing, waited around for a while, and tried to figure out a game plan. And then at that point, we just decided to go back to the truck and come up with a new game plan. By the time all this happened, it was it was kind of getting around noon or something, or a little before. And so we got back to the truck, and then at that point we started cruising around. Oh, and then we saw we started cruising around again, trying to find some activity. And right on the main road, there was a couple does that, well, it looked like a yearling and a doe to me anyway. Jumped right across the road, right in front of us. Right there, we were actually following another hunter, and jumped across the road in front of them. And we debated and we cussed and discussed about it, and if jump out and get that, see if we can make a play on that doe or not. And then ultimately we decided not to, just because I had a yearling with it, and I was like, well, if I had a choice, I'd rather kind of try to find a dry old doe.
Right.
And so we moved on. Later on, I kind of was regretting that decision. I was like, they got to break that bond some point.
Right.
Kind of cold, but I was getting desperate. But so the rest of the day, yeah, we didn't really not a whole lot of activity. Oh, but I will say, going back to where we did get that activity, speaking of number 9, hunt where you think, or where they are, and not where you think they are. Yeah. The amount of sign, kind of just everything that we talked about that, the amount of sign we were seeing, we're like, oh, they're definitely in here. I mean, they're in here. They're thick in here. We knew they were thick in there. We just couldn't find, or we just weren't seeing them while we were there. So anyway, yeah. The rest of the day, we went to a couple other spots, and I know the area fairly good. I happen to work in the area, and so I guess not that good though, because there were still areas that I'd never been to. But anyway, I was just trying to go to all the spots where I've seen deer before, and just nothing was popping up. I think they were all bedded at that, because it was midday. They were all bedded, and so we go to where I wanted to hunt in the afternoon, and we go down. I'll let you talk about the 2 deer that on the road were, the highlight. But I will say, on our way over there, there was another spot that we stopped and glassed for a while too, and just nothing was really popping out. Nothing. Yeah. And I really wanted to get over to this other area that I was really wanting to. This is where I really wanted to finish my afternoon hunt. Now I wish I wouldn't have wanted to finish it up over there so much, because it really turned up to be not much. But anyways, so we're driving down, and I spot a deer up on the side hill, and at first I thought it was a doe, so I'm scrambling. I'm like, I'm gonna take a shot. I don't care. And Joe's like, hold on, I think that's a buck, and so he's trying to figure it out. He's glassing it, or I think you were.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of getting my gun together, and that deer was just standing there, and and about the time that you confirmed that it was definitely a small buck, he turned his head just right, and I saw a little bit of antler on him, so I was like, yeah, you're right. So kind of settled down and took off, and kicking myself, kind of like, oh man, what. The hardest thing is I had Carter and Joe with me. We were all hunting together. I really wanted to get some success with these guys with me, I mean, that's personally how I felt. So I was really beating myself up, but that nothing was happening yet. And just like everything, like I kind of was like, it's a doe hunt, it should be pretty easy, should just roll up and they'll all be coming out to greet my
Right.
30 out 6. But it just didn't work out that way. And then I, kind of got humbled and realized, I'm like, this is gonna take a little more work than I was giving it credit for. Even though I know that, I had to be reminded of it still. And so, anyways, we got going down the road. I'll kind of let you take over on this part.
Yeah. So we get back to asphalt and going from the one spot, and we're losing light at this point, and we know we're like, well, we probably have one, maybe enough time in the day for to go find one more spot to set and watch the remainder of the evening. And so Eric's like, oh, I got another spot I want to go to. Oh, okay, cool. So we're back on asphalt. We're going down the road, and we're going hit the straight stretch, and it kind of rises uphill a little bit, and you look up there a little ways, and there's this white Tundra truck parked over on the side of the road, and these two guys with orange shirts on are like standing on either side. And as we get closer, one guy grabs a rifle. I'm like, oh, they're getting ready. They weren't parked like they were going to leave the truck. Like it was just literally
They were
on.
parked in the middle of the road, really.
Yeah, like
I
yeah,
think they had like one tire off on the side of the road, and the rest of
correct.
the truck was like on the road. Yeah, they were kind of parked like a couple a holes, but that's
So
either here or there.
so you knew they weren't leaving the truck. So we go, oh, there must be something right there, and we looked on the other. We happened to catch movement on the other side of the road up this little embankment, and sure enough, there's a buck and a doe, and we all kind of get excited. I think Carter probably got the most excited out of us because like there's this doe right on the side of the road, and I was like, that's what we spent the whole day to give us as this opportunity to get a doe, and this. So we look over, and yeah, they're buck and a doe, and the buck is like a great buck, like you know I was telling Eric, I was like, if it was, if you were going after the 30-inch mule deer buck, this wasn't it. But if you were wanting a mainframe 4x4 with some kickers on it, this was the buck you'd want. Like it was pretty much, it wasn't probably the ultimate dream buck, but like you would be probably really considering pulling the trigger. At least I would be. I didn't see any reason not to.
It was an exciting buck for sure, and
Yeah.
yeah, uh, keep going though. I know.
So we go, and like Carter, he's calling it out like it is. Dad, there's a, or like, guys, there's this doe. Let's shoot the doe. And I was like, no, we kind of got to be respectful to these guys because they're the ones that came up on it first, and they apparently were putting the play on it. At least that's what it looked like. And so we go up past, just barely past them, and there's the road that Eric was looking for to do our evening hunt on. And so Eric pulls over, and he's like, well, hopefully we can do a double bagger here, and these guys can get their buck, and we'll take the doe. And so Eric kind of goes to get set up, and me and Carter stay in the truck to kind of eliminate the amount of people out in the woods. And I don't know how long we were there.
It was a little bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, well, I felt like it was over 20 minutes, at least 20 minutes, because it doesn't seem like it was any shorter than that. But like, I just remember thinking, like, man, these guys, this buck's right there, and these guys haven't shot. Like,
Yeah,
and the buck was chasing the doe, so it was rutting. It was trying uh to rut to yeah to
to
spread
do its
his
thing.
seed.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah, all he was looking at was the back end of that doe, and that's the
yeah,
only thing he was focused on.
and for some reason that doe was just hanging out right there. I don't know, like, I don't know why the doe didn't take off sooner,
It's weird. It's
because
weird.
like that truck was literally parked pretty much straight across on the other side of the road from where these deer were. It
Yeah.
wasn't like they were a ways away from it. Like it was truck, road, deer, pretty much. Like, and but like so some time passes, and I'm looking, across and and the way they were. So we probably could have set up better, but the doe was looking like it was getting ready to cross the road. So Eric went on the other side, that thinking that the doe was going to hop across. Well, it never did. And I'm looking back on the side the deer are on, and all of a sudden I see this old man and climb up this little embankment. And I think he didn't know exactly where the buck was, but he came out up like right on top of him. And it's kind of funny because I remember looking and seeing and being like, the buck's right there. Why can't he see him? But like the deer ended up running before he could get a shot off. And it was, at first it was like I said, it was just one of those, like, there it is, shoot it. But he didn't know exactly where it was. And this older gentleman was not one of the two guys that was sitting in that Tundra truck when we first rolled up on it. And so he ended up firing, taking a shot. We don't know if he ended up getting it, but that when he shot, there was another road on the other side. The Tundra went speeding past where we were, and right behind that Tundra there was a blue Dodge. So they were waiting for this old man to get there to shoot.
Yeah, yeah, running together. So right about there, like Joe kind of explained it. So we went ahead and passed the buck, right? And we were all like, "Oh yeah, that's a nice buck," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, look at that doe," and I'm like, "This is perfect," And so I get up to that road and I pull over and stop, and I said, I'm going after that doe. I said, here's what I think is going to happen, not knowing that they were calling their old man or whoever. I mean, whoever that other truck was, they must have called their old man and said, "Hey, there's a nice buck. Opportunity of a lifetime. Come shoot it." So that blue truck, like Joe said, come down and the old man chased it. But from my perspective, the people in the white truck were gonna shoot that buck.
Right.
So I was like, okay, this kind of makes, in my head, this is what I was thinking at first. It looked like they were gonna cross the road anyway. Where the guys with the white truck were set up, they were gonna take a shot at that buck, but the buck was gonna go down behind the doe, making that doe more than likely run across the road into the brush, and hopefully I would have a shot at that doe. That's kind of what my thinking was. Now, whenever I got up to the top road, I couldn't see the activity. I couldn't see the buck or the doe, or at least where I set up at. But there was kind of a part of me that I was like, I started to set up, and then well, here's what as we were waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and I'm like, what are they? Are they going to take pictures of this thing, or what are they waiting on? I couldn't figure it out. I started getting a little nervous because I'm like, well, now at this point, I don't know where that buck is. I don't know what kind of play they're putting on it. I don't know if that buck, so for all I know is they let that buck cross the road, and they're going to shoot it on their side, on the side that I was at. But now, not only are you guys in the firing lane, maybe, but now I'm in the firing lane too. And so I was like, man, my little plan is falling apart pretty quick, So I kind of got nervous about it. And my initial plan, whenever I walked back to the truck, was I was like, I'm just going to get out of here because I'm feeling like it's a little unsafe. But then I saw that about the time that I was walking to the truck, I saw that old man running up behind it, and then you kind of explained that you saw the buck and everything. So I was like, oh, okay, well, we're not in the firing lane anymore. But I was kind of getting nervous because I'm like, man, this is a really great plan, but it's starting to fall apart.
Right.
And so anyways, yeah. So Then like Joe explained, I just kind of wanted to clarify my point of view of everything, where what I was thinking. But then like Joe said, that guy shot, and at that point I was like, well, we could either stick around and wait and watch them get the buck of the lifetime and watch them all give each other high fives and stuff, or I could go get a doe. So I was like, I'm trying to get an animal tonight, so I'm gonna go hunting. So I don't, a part of me wishes, I guess, knowing what we know now, a part of me wishes that we would have just taken our time and maybe, seen if they got it and said, oh, that's awesome, and maybe have a little conversation with them and see what it looked like up close, as far as
Right.
if it was, if it was, how big it was exactly and everything and stuff. I mean, a part of me wishes now that we would have done that, but like I said, at the time, I was just like, I gotta go get my animal.
Right. For sure.
I don't have time to patty cake around. Um, so yeah, so we took off after that, and for all I know, they got it. I don't know for sure, but yeah, we took off and then tried to find a spot. It was a little tougher. So it was a little tougher to find a spot than I thought it would be, mostly due to the fact that there was people that were that there was people everywhere, and
Right.
and so I was like, well, this is a lot more. I mean, this one area that I really thought would have been cleared of, there was campers
Mhm.
on a pad, and oil field pad, and I was actually going to hunt off of that pad, and so I was like, well, my plan is kind of going to hell here. So, and then there was campers everywhere around everywhere I wanted to hunt. Anyways, we landed up on this little clearing. Oh yeah, that's another. Well, yeah, that's a whole nother side. So here it is. We're like 30 minutes away from dark, maybe 45 minutes at the most, and we find this clearing. We cross the clearing. We're like, all right, let's just wait till dark and see what comes out of the brush. And we get over across to where we want to sit down at. We're waiting and waiting and waiting. And all of a sudden, we hear a ba-boom, and I'm like, man, that was pretty close.
Yeah.
Joe's like, yeah, that was really close, wasn't it? And I was like, yeah, yeah. It's like it sounded like it was just right over the hill, and so Joe got up and I'm kind of rushing a little bit, I guess, but Joe got up and went and investigated, and he's like, yeah, they shot a deer just literally right over the hill,
Yeah.
and we're probably on the same hill we were on the other side of,
It
for all
was.
I
Yeah.
know.
We were on both on the same hill. We were just on one side and they were on the other.
Yeah, so so Joe so Joe comes back and tells me all that they're just like basically right on the other side, and he's like, dude, I think we might have gave him that doe, like we might have jumped that doe and had her jump over the other side or something to give them a clear shot.
Yeah.
And so I was like, man. And then Joe, so Joe says that, and it gets past shooting light, and Joe's like, well, do you want to climb over and see if they need help? And I looked at him and I was like, I feel like we helped them enough tonight. So we just took off. But yeah, so that was our hunt, and then old Carter, he was a kick in the pants. So
So,
throughout the, or go ahead, Joe.
so like, it's one of those things. We spent the day and we never gave up. Like we pushed hard. Like what did we probably could have hunted maybe a little smarter somewhere, but being that it was more of a scouting day, we saw it. We could have had some success at some points if things would have went more our way. Yeah. So me and Eric are, like we're going down trying to discuss the day, and always that like, well, if things would have been a little different, we could have probably seen success, which is easy to do on the end of the day. And we're kind of maybe we are being a little hard on ourselves and talking about what didn't happen and what could have happened, and you know pushing maybe like we didn't see a deer, but we more than likely could have pushed that doe over for those guys to shoot. We didn't see anything, but you know how deer are. They kind of sense there's something going around and they'll move away from it. So yeah, we're feeling a little down about our day, but I guess it wasn't that bad of a day for everybody in the truck.
yeah. Yeah, Carter pipes up about that time, and he's like, "Well, guys, it's a pretty great day for me, though.
Yeah.
I found I found this antler. What else did he have? He
He
had a
had a
handful of stuff.
shell, like yeah, some little
Yeah,
rifle shell, a little like crystal looking rock type thing he
yeah,
found
that's
somewhere.
it.
And
Yeah, yeah, that kid is he's a bit of a collector slash hoarder, and he gets attached to the silliest stuff sometimes. And but yeah, so he every time me and Joe were like, oh man, maybe we should have done this or whatever the case was. Carter pipe up. Well, guys, I had a great day though.
yeah.
Just kept kind of rubbing that one in. I was about to make him walk home.
But it's kind of funny though, like how like we're really stressing trying to be successful, and you had Carter who more or less was. I mean, he was when we saw that buck and that doe. He was excited. I he was really letting it show how excited that he was that you were going after that doe. I had to, tell him, hey Carter, we're hunting here. You be a little quiet.
You gotta be a
and,
little quiet. Yep.
and um, but just the fact that like he probably didn't feel that stress as we did,
Yeah.
and but yet he had a great day. Like,
He let us know he had a great
yeah,
day.
yeah,
No, it was cool. It was cool to really see him that excited about everything. He was overly excited about not overly excited, but like just you could see it in his face. He was just excited about everything. I wish that in years past, I've been so focused on elk and everything, and elk can be a little bit more of a beast, obviously, because we've been through all the motions there.
right,
Um, I kind of wish that I would have been doing the deer hunt to stuff to really get him excited for it. Because, I mean, yeah, just the excitement, just the activity, pretty much the moment that we saw that first deer and he's like, "Oh, Dad, I want to go with you," and he was right on my tail, like in the woods and just just wide eyed and just ready to go. Really wanted to see it get done, and that was the hardest thing for me, as Dad. I had Joe with me, and I wanted to, you know, um, I think I said something in this context to Joe on the way home. I was like, I really wanted to get something. I mean, not only for Carter to see the whole process and have that success with him there, but also with Joe there. And I said, I could just imagine it now, just getting something in every like chance I get, like or us looking at each other and just giving each other high fives or whatever, as we're processing the deer
yeah,
and just that just really really enjoying those moments with my best friend and my son. Like that's can't ask for much more than that. So it was really kind of Saturday, like it was a bittersweet thing. We had a great day. Always love hunting with you, Joe, and everything,
yeah,
but it it was also kind of bittersweet in the sense that we just didn't get successful. So,
yeah.
but yeah, so Saturday was pretty packed with excitement, a lot of fun. I'll try to fast forward to Sunday, and I wasn't even 100% sure on Sunday if I was gonna go out. It was kind of optional, kind of just tossing it in the air because I had the rest of the week. But I had something eating at me about Sunday, and I'm like, I feel like I owe it to the universe. I feel like the universe is like kind of calling me and saying, "Hey, don't be messing around, don't be taking it easy, just get it done. Like there was just something dragging me out there, and I told my wife, I said, I just feel like if I don't go Sunday, there's gonna be like I'm gonna struggle because I took Sunday off because I didn't take it serious or something. I don't know. It was really eating at me, and it's easy to say that now looking back and everything, but I did feel that way, and so I went out Sunday morning, went to the same spot where we saw activity. That I pretty much just beelined it straight there because I was like, that's where we saw the most activity on Saturday was right in this area. So I went straight there, and I kind of went up on the other side of the road, a lot of scrub oak and stuff, fairly tall scrub oak, but it was it was I could see, but it was there was a lot of good cover for deer too. And I waited and was looking around and glassing and trying to figure something out. And I ended up seeing one doe, and I got excited, and the heart started pounding because I kind of had I thought I had a shot at it, and I got all ready, put my rifle up, and my rifle, I still don't understand exactly what happened, but it was kind of blurry in my rifle scope, and so I put it down. I kind of looked at my scope, and I was zoomed out to like 3 or 4 or whatever power. I think it was 3, and I was like, well, I don't know, and I messed with my paradox a little bit, and put it back up, and it was clear again. But that little moment, I lost the deer, and where'd she go? Couldn't find her, and I was like, man, what the heck? So I lost her. I didn't see her again, and I don't know if I jumped her. I don't know if she saw me moving, or I don't know what happened, but she was gone. Never did see her again. And so, like I said, on Saturday, I'd never been in this particular spot before, so I didn't really know the area that well. And so after sitting there a while, I was like, well, I'm just gonna walk through this thick stuff and kind of make a circle, and then I'll walk back up to the truck. That was my plan. Well, by doing that, I popped out onto this clearing, this strip of clearing, and through most of this, I saw a bunch of tracks. Same thing as Saturday, really, just on the other side of the road. Saw a bunch of signs, saw a bunch of tracks, and so I kind of told myself then, I was like, I'm gonna hit this clearing in this afternoon, and just come in here and sit and see what happens. And so I walked out, got back to my truck, and the rest of the day was not too eventful. Didn't see a lot of activity. Besides, I went up to this one area, went all the way to the end of the road, and was looking off this drop off, and I actually saw about 4 doe and a decent sized buck. I think he was a 4-point. They were kind of a ways down there. I'd say 500, 600, 700 yards or whatever. They're quite a ways down there, and I couldn't really count the points, but I was thinking it looked like about 4-point. I wasn't 100% sure, but it looked at least about a 4-point. Decent sized buck. I mean, if I was in a trophy unit, I probably wouldn't shoot it, but if it was just a regular buck, just trying to get a buck in or whatever, I would have went after it for sure. But I was more concerned about the does. I knew they were down there. I was trying to figure out where they kind of stayed down there though, and so it was really steep, and I was like, man, for a doe, I just don't really want to expend the effort going all the way down there for a doe. If it was even for that buck, it'd be questionable if I wanted to go down there for that buck because it was just that far down there, and everything was straight up and down, quarter of a mile to half a mile to the nearest road. So, it would have just been a lot of work to pack that thing out. And so I was like, man, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to go down there. So I just glassed them for a while, watched them bed. It was really interesting, just kind of watching their behaviors. And they went and bedded down about 1 o'clock, 1:30. But that buck was just right behind. There's like 4 doe, but he picked one doe that he wanted to
Yeah.
listen to some Marvin Gaye with, and just followed her. They went side hilling up the hill, and it was funny though watching them all, because then the other 3 or 4 doe followed behind, and like they would separate, like the buck and the doe would like separate, and it's funny watching that stuff, because the doe looks like it's like, get away from me, get off of me.
Right.
That's kind of the attitude.
Typical guy, right? Like,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah,
what are you
yeah.
doing? Hey, why are you going over here? I'm coming
Exactly,
too.
exactly. And so she was like side hilling and going up, and that buck was just following her pretty much. And then the other does down, they were kind of left down at the bottom, and then eventually they were like, oh, we better go meet up with them or whatever, and it almost looked like they were like, let him go find a bedroom or something, like that's almost what the attitude was, like, let them go have their moment. They never did though. uh, Not while I was glassing anyway. um, Anyways, then eventually they all kind of huddled up in this one spot. They were on the other side of the mountain, and they all kind of huddled up in this circle, and I watched the buck bed down, and then all the does bedded down eventually. And yeah, it was kind of fun to watch. I just spent some time just doing that. Like I said, it was kind of midday, and watched them bed, and then I did go up to this other spot before I decided to go over to where I ended back to where I ended up that morning. I did go to this other spot and did a quick hike. I don't know. It wasn't much of a hike. It was really thick in there. I mean, it was thicker than what we were walking through the day before. So I was like, well, this plan ain't quite working out the way. What I was kind of thinking was there was a little bit of canyon. It was kind of right above where I saw the buck at. And so I was like, well, maybe I see something bedded down in these little canyons. And it was a little bit, there were more shallow canyons, I guess. But I was like, maybe I'll walk out there and see some stuff bedded down or jump something or whatever. So I did a little hike around, and I didn't come up with anything. So I was like, forget it. I'm just gonna go back to my spot, where I had planned for tonight. So I walked out there and or drove over there, and then I walked up to the clearing that I wanted to be at, and sat there, and the doubt's starting to kick in. It was still fairly early. I mean, I still had a couple hours, but I was already there for like 45 minutes to an hour, whatever. I don't know. I wasn't really keeping that close a track of time, but I was there for a little bit, and I'm glassing. Nothing's popping out. And I glass and kind of scan everything right in front of me, and I put down my binos, and I just saw something to the left of me, and this is about 3:30, 3 o'clock, but I'd say between 3 and 3:30, and I see something right off to the left of me, down over a little bit, but there's scrub oak and some cedar trees, or a cedar tree, I should say, and I could see through it, but I was covered from the tree and the scrub oak, and I could see the doe. And it was really weird because I wasn't moving, I wasn't making much noise, but I must have just moved enough to catch her attention or something. And I actually put my rifle up to her, and I was like, I see her. I mean, she's broadside to me. I see her. I could take this shot, but there was scrub oak in my way, and I was really debating it. And I'm like, dude, all I need is to blow this up though, because I don't have a clear shot necessarily, and my bullet hits one of these scrub oaks, and it flings that bullet off one way or the other, what have you, and then I ruin my chance here. So I was like, I'm gonna try to get up. I'm trying to outweight that doe, and she's just staring. She can't see me, but she's staring up at me. It's like they have that sixth sense,
Yeah.
where they might not be able to see you. I don't think she even smelt me, but they sense me. And so I'm slowly trying to stand up, and she's like doing the fake, like, oh, I'll put my head down and eat real quick, and then she pop her head back up and look at me. And finally, I was getting impatient at this time, and I just saw her, and so I'm like, you know what? I stand all the way up by this point, and she sees me, but she's still standing there, just trying to figure out what I am. And I'm like, but I got this tree right in front of me that I can't get a clear shot unless I walk around it, and she can't really see me. But I'm like, I'm just going to make a move and go around the tree. So I go around the tree, and sure enough, I scare her, and she turns around and starts running. But about that time, as soon as I get around that tree and it clears up for me, there's two other does there. And so they all run up right to the edge of the woods, and or the tree line, whatever you want to say. And two of them are looking directly at me, not giving me a broadside shot, but one is giving me a broadside shot. And so I look at all three of them, and I'm like, well, they're all about the same size, so I'm not going to get more meat out of one than the other, and I'm not shooting the yearling. That's the other thing. I was like, I don't want to make a mistake and think that it's a big doe, and then it's, they all three look the same size. So I pull my rifle up to the one that was broadside, and the heart starts pounding, and I'm getting excited. I'm like, oh, it's going to happen. And long story short, or long story longer rather, I pull that trigger, and I just see that doe go down right away, and I'm like, oh, I think I got her. But she started twitching and kind of fumbling a little bit, and so I was like, oh man, I was like, well, I don't want to run right over there, because if she's still alive at all, like, I don't want her to run away. I think she died pretty instantly, which I'm glad for, but I think she died pretty instantly. So and actually, you and my wife both did the same thing. So she went down, and so I started gathering up my stuff. I grabbed my phone. I call my wife. She doesn't pick up. I call Joe. He doesn't pick up. And then simultaneously, my wife calls me, and I'm telling her, and I'm shaking. I'm so excited. And I got all these emotions coming through me and everything else, and then I tell her that I got it and everything. And about that time, Joe's calling me, and I'm like, well, Joe's calling me back right now, so I'll talk to you later. And I picked up and told Joe, and then I guess the rest is kind of history. Went and I gave it time. I made my phone calls because I was like, well, I'll give it a few minutes, let him know that I got it and everything, and give it some time to make sure that it expires and everything. And
Right.
And like I said, I think she died instantly, but regardless, I gave it some time and talked to Joe, talked to my wife, and was all excited. And I don't even know what I was saying. Or, I don't know. I was so excited though, and so ended up getting it, and I guess the rest is history, man. I got my doe. I got an animal, and
Filled that tag.
Filled that tag. It's been a struggle, to say the least, but I feel like we broke the old curse, the old struggling hunter's curse. And I don't know, man. I'm still excited about it. Had the heart last night. Just just excited. Getting ready. I'm gonna. We're cutting up the meat ourselves, so gonna do that tomorrow night.
Yeah. Well, that's
So
cool. It's one of those things. Like, we joke about wanting to get something, and we always this year especially we had more opportunities in years past, and but just trying to close that deal, and especially on a bigger game, like it's a accomplishment.
yeah, yeah, man. It's been a lot of work. I think me and you both we've kind of like learned so much this last couple years, and doing this podcast. I mean, yeah, like we wanted to do a podcast and like you know have people follow us and stuff, but man, there's kind of a point of it where, um, I mean, I feel like it helped us more than we realized too. Just talking about it, and keeping it in our heads, and always thinking of hunting, and you know, um, it's just weird how that works. I really never really thought because I'm going back on what you just said. I just feel like we put ourselves in better opportunities this last year just because we've kind of worked on it for so long, and we, with both of our elk seasons, we didn't necessarily put an elk in the freezer, but we got closer on a few opportunities than we ever had before, and just all the things that how it all worked out, and
Yeah.
I mean, heck, yeah, I do wonder. I do wonder if I had a buck tag if I would have saw the bucks, but I mean, we saw a few bucks, a
Right.
couple or well, you saw the one, but then I saw the other one the next day, and I'm like, man, if I had a buck tag, I could probably feel that, um, but yeah, so it was just a really really fun filled weekend, and a lot of success, or I got some success, and I
Right.
don't know, I'm just so grateful for it, and man, the emotions. I know some people listening to this are like, calm down, homie, it's just a doe, but um I don't know, it meant a lot to me, so
Right. Well, it's just one of those things too. Like, that respect that we give to hunting. It's as much as we'd like to have a big buck on the ground. It's still, we're doing it to feed the family and the experience, and like giving it the respect. Like, yeah, so it's gonna have emotion because of the respect that we give it.
yeah, 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 that's the thing, man, like just I think, I mean, it signified a lot of things. I was so excited for this podcast. I mean, I, I mean, I can't help it but be excited for this podcast. But most importantly, yeah, I mean, I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I've been trying to tell my wife for the well, we've been hunting pretty steady for like 5 years. Um, and I kept telling her every year I went out, I'm like, well, I'm doing it for the family. I'm doing it for the family, and I really want to get us some meat, and it was all genuine, but man, keep coming back home after every hunt season and not getting anything.
Right.
I'm like, no, I swear, I'm trying to do it for the family. Like this, I'm not messing around, and to finally be able to feel that, and feel that tag, but also feel the uh, you know, that goal to
Right.
to meet that goal. Ah, man, just like so much pressure off my shoulders, and I really do get to feed my family, and we're not, buying beef and chicken every payday and all that. So there's a lot. I don't know, man. It really signifies a lot, and I mean, I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of rambling on about it, but it does, man. It feels
No,
really good.
and I was sitting there trying to think like kind of how to help put that in their perspective too. But like, it's you kind of go out hunting and wanting to fill the tag, it's kind of a funny thing because there's a lot that goes into filling that tag. Um, for one, being where the deer are, the elk are, and then two, staying at it even though it gets tough, and doing it year after year, trying to learn. And like you use the word, having that goal of filling the tag. And when we set goals, we're wanting to accomplish those goals. And when and when you come home with an empty tag every year, and you tell people, oh yeah, I'm really out there hunting, but you don't fill that tag, and they're like, oh, are you really? It's been how many years now?
Yep.
But then on top of that too, you put that goal of filling that tag, and you can't check that box as completed. Like, yeah, you check the box. I got up early. I put X amount of miles in the woods, and check all these other boxes. You're kind of goals you're doing to maybe to fulfill that goal of filling your tag. But at the end of every year that you don't fill a tag, you in a way didn't accomplish that goal. So yeah, it's kind of hard.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's yeah. There's a lot of emotion behind it. I mean, like you said, sitting there trying to tell people, no, I'm really working at it, man. I'm telling you, I know that the success percentages aren't very high, but um, man, I'm putting in the work and just ain't quite panning out for me. And I mean, just to finally have it pan out, it's just like it's kind of like, see, told you.
Right. Boom, take that.
Yeah. I mean, it's more of a self accomplishment than
Right.
anything, but it is a little bit of that too, because I mean, I just know how much work me and you both have put into it and trying to get better. And, you know, every time we've went home empty handed, I mean, we, start, I probably what a lot of people do, start watching the YouTube channels, reading the magazines and, uh, podcasts and just whatever information to be like, where did I mess up at? Where did I get it wrong at? And then us doing a podcast, and then trying to uh, take what we've learned and try to spread that through our little platform and stuff. I mean, it just yeah, we've just put in the work. That's all I could say is, I mean, we're struggling hunters, but we put in the work, and it finally paid off. Um,
Right.
and I don't know. I mean, I think that it's the beginning of something where hopefully our success rates get a little higher and we can actually start calling ourselves decent hunters or okay hunters or something. I don't know.
Right.
But we can actually start living through the passion. I mean, the whole I don't know. I mean, you guys have heard us say it before, but the whole reason we started this is because we have a passion for hunting, and we just wanted to talk about it and have fun. And if we could gain a few people to follow, and say, yeah, I like these guys and their stories and their passion for hunting, that was great. And yeah, so I mean, and the success along the way, but it's so much better to be doing this and having a little bit of success. So.
True. Very true.
And you had your success though last year with the turkey, and I,
Right.
and I missed out. So it's kind of one of those things where I know it's not quite the deer, but or an elk,
Right.
but uh, but we're both finally successful on the channel. So
Right. Exactly.
so yeah, all good vibes, man. All good, all
Correct.
good things, and for everybody, if you're still listening to this point, I don't even know how long we've been going on for a little while. I think. Um, Look, if you're still listening, thanks for hanging in there with us all this time and waiting for us to tell a story of how we're successful or whatnot. Really appreciate you for sticking with us and doing the thing. So, um, Do you have any closing thoughts, Joe? I feel like we've been on here for for a minute.
Yeah, we're just over an hour.
Oh, okay.
Just yeah, just I just want to end with how fun it is to be able to check off a goal, and the one thing that's been impressed upon my mind too is just uh how we were going through our day, and not that we had a bad day Saturday together, like we always enjoy the woods, but just how much like Carter had that great day. I just it's just one of those two different perspectives. His I don't know what his goals were for the day, but whatever they were, they've they were better than what he expected to, even though we didn't get anything. But
Oh yeah.
just that whole side of things, like it may not be fun for you, but at least maybe someone's having fun.
Oh yeah. I mean, that kid had a smile on his face from ear to ear, and he was so happy. I'll tell you what, he wasn't there with me, like, obviously, but whenever I got a chance to talk to him on the phone and everything, I mean, he was so excited when we went and hung the deer up. He was out there the whole time just watching the whole process. And, I didn't know if he'd be a little deterred from it or not.
Right.
But he was right there, just real interested in the whole process. So yeah, that kid's pretty excited. Oh, and he had the heart with me too. Well, with me and the wife, we cooked that up last
Uh-huh.
night, and he was like he was like ah, it's okay. He took some to school though. He said he was gonna take some to school and eat it for lunch. So
Mm.
so he liked it enough to eat it, but he was like, eh, not my favorite, but it's edible. So
Yeah.
so he had the heart and yeah. So I was pretty proud of him for having that, and I think he's gonna grow to be a pretty good hunter. I think he'll be a better hunter than I am, and really, that's all I ask. On
Right.
another, I don't want to go on for too much longer, but uh, on another side of me doing this, I feel like hunting, in this crazy world we live in, and not to get too political and stuff, just the hunting community is kind of picked on in a way. We're a big community, but we're like 2 or 3% of the world's population, which in numbers, I mean, there's a couple million of us or whatever. I mean, there's quite a bit of us, but whenever it's as a whole, it's not. I mean, 2% or three
Right.
percent. It might be a little bit more than that. Don't quote me on my percentages, but I know like on a world scale or whatever, it's kind of a small percentage. Um, and with that said, like we get picked on a little bit, and one thing that I wanted to be another voice for hunting and do a podcast and stuff was for the generations coming up, man. I just I look back on how we were raised and the lifestyle that we lived and how one thing about us is we were all fairly down to earth people. We had a little bit of interaction with the woods and life and the circle of life, and I think whenever you have that kind of perspective in life, you see things for what they are, and you're not confused by things like gender and stuff. So um, that's really why I do. Trying, like I said, I'm trying not to be political, but what I'm trying to throw out there is part of the reason to do this is for that younger generation to come up and whatever part that plays in. We don't get too political about it, but just to have that younger generation try to grow that younger generation's interest in the outdoors and woods and hunting, because I could see where in 100 years hunting is going to be a thing of the past, and I just think it's a shame if that happens. So the more we can do now to keep it going, the better off everything will be, I think. So that's kind of my closing thoughts, I guess. Do you got anything to add to that, Joe? Or
Nope, I'm good.
All right. Well, that was kind of a long-winded little rant that I had there at the end, but you started the podcast, so I'll kind of get us out of here, guys. Thanks for listening to this long-winded podcast. I'm just excited about the success. I'm excited, Joe. Thanks for being with me on Saturday and being with me every step of the way, and kind of helping me keep my head up whenever I needed the. It really means a lot, man. You kind of helped me keep my head up whenever I was at my lowest points, and just really appreciate everything you've done. All these years, and to all the listeners, thanks for all your support. Thanks for everything. Remember to give us a share. It helps us grow. Give us a like, helps us grow. Spread the word about us. If not, if you don't want to do all that, at least leave a comment and say congratulations or something cool like that. With that said, we're out.
Bye.